Too much? Is this too much? Yeah, okay, it's too much. Dog here.
God damn it.
Hello you at home, looking at me looking back at you, you looking at your phone, looking at me, looking back at you, looking through the lens. We've done it. We've made the Meat Man Show. What a wild ride we've been on together, both you and I. Who would have thought 2 weeks ago the show didn't even exist? And now, we've got 48 subscribers. That's 48 subscribers on YouTube. Who would have thought it? So to celebrate, I'm going to give away some of these shirts. Now if you want to get your hands on some Meat Man merch, I've got 10 of these t-shirts to give away. So if you jump on my YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and share it with your friends, I'll send you out one of these t-shirts personally. I've even personally worn the t-shirt as well. Not many other YouTube stars would do that, would they? So make sure you follow the steps below if you want to get your hands on one of these Meat Man t-shirts. Because remember, I'm only giving away 10. After that, you're going to have to pay for them. And it would suck to be you if you've got to pay for them when I'm giving them away for free. Today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to take these lovely cuts of meat from this into this. So, meat fact of the day, pork spare ribs. Now many of you at home probably don't know where pork spare ribs come from. Hold that thought. Let me show you. Now for those that aren't too sure at home, the pork spare ribs come from the lower section down here on the pig, close to the belly. The belly runs off the ribs at the bottom. Now pork spare ribs are not to be confused with baby back ribs or St. Louis style ribs if you're in America. So they come from the loin of the pig, from this part up here. We've got our ribs. First step, we're going to take the membrane off the back of the ribs. The membrane is this part here that runs inside. Now it's no good cooked. It's just going to be chewy, it's not enjoyable, so the best thing we can do is peel it off before we cook it. It also stops the rub from getting into the meat on the back side of the ribs, and that's something that we don't want. Try and get in under it with your fingernails. If you can't, grab a knife and just slowly peel it so you get it started. Now this is quite slippery, so we then get a paper towel. Use our paper towel to grip the membrane. The other hand we hold the ribs, and it should just peel off like this. Right, so tip at home. If you're cooking any cut of meat and you want something to cook evenly, the best thing you can do is make your cuts uniform. So off cuts like this, they won't cook evenly the same as the rest of the ribs. So just get your knife, square everything up, like this on the end, like this down here, and that's going to give us something that'll cook a lot better. Right, it's rub time. So I'm going to run you through a basic rub that you can make at home. Chances are you'll have most of these seasonings in your cupboard at home, mostly spices. You could always buy something off the shelf. Maybe you've done rubs before, maybe there's a flavour profile out there that you already like. This is a pretty simple one. It's basically just salt, pepper, onion powder, cumin seed powder, smoked paprika. Smoked paprika, shit, that's a tongue twister. We're going to use that today to give us a bit of a smoky flavour through our meat because we're not smoking our ribs, we're just baking them in the oven. And lastly, we've got garlic powder. Lastly, we've got garlic powder there as well. For 2 ribs, I've got about a tablespoon of each. So I'm just going to put them into the bowl. Onion powder. Cumin seed powder, get in there, smoked paprika, and our onion powder. Now they're all about a tablespoon, as I said before. We'll just add a good pinch of salt, and the same again for the pepper. Now this rub here, this will be enough to do these 2 sets of ribs. So the more ribs you're going to do, just double the mixture. Double the mixture, double the ribs. You get what I mean? Now if you like a spicy rib, just add cayenne pepper. Simple as that. If you like a fucking hot rib, put lots of cayenne pepper in. Now for today's cook, these are going to go in at about 140 degrees. So good idea to preheat the oven before we start the rub. I'm going to paint the ribs with mustard, and this is going to help our dry rub stick to the meat. It's like painting your house at home, really, isn't it? I feel like that bloke, what's his name? Who's that guy that paints? Do you know the one that does the home paintings?
No. What are you talking
You know the guy with the curly hair? Who was the famous Australian painter on TV? Arthur Boyd. It's time to massage your meat. Rub on, cover them evenly. Get your hands involved, it's going to get sticky. Cover everything off, all to the edges. Flip them over, do the back side. Sweet. Looking pretty good. Now it's tinfoil time. Now even I don't know why I've got tinfoil on my head, but the internet's a crazy place right now, guys. And that's where you are. You're deep in the internet if you're watching this. It's time to wrap the ribs. Take the ribs, meat side down, bone side up. Now we're going to double wrap these. So like Christmas time, in from the ends, nice and tight. Once you've got your ribs wrapped up like this, we're going to stick them in the oven, 2 hours, 140 degrees, good to go. In they go, bone side up. We'll see you in 2 hours. It's been 2 hours now. I hope you've used your time as productively as I have. We're going to sauce the ribs now. So let's see what we've got. Oh, they smell delicious. Even though the ribs have been in there for 2 hours now, you can see the meat here is starting to pull away from the end of the bones. Now that's a telltale sign to me that they're ready. The best practice for this part is get yourself an oven rack with a cake tray if you've got one in line. I've just put some baking paper in there underneath. It's time to get saucy. Real saucy. Like real saucy, not that kind of saucy. Like sauce on the ribs saucy, that's what I mean. Now look, this is store-bought barbecue sauce. You can make sauce yourself. There's heaps of recipes out there on the World Wide Web. You can look them up if that's what you're into. But I don't think you need to. There's nothing wrong with store-bought barbecue sauce. What I'm going to do, paint it on in layers, and then we'll put it back in the oven for 5-minute stints. And at that temperature, we'll lift the temperature to about 200 degrees in there, and that's going to tack the sauce up. So we paint on our sauce. Again, nice even covering. We'll only do the bottom side once, but the top side will get more. Righto, so we're just going to do the top side now. Same again, paint it on, nice and even. I'm happy with that. Back in the oven they go. Let's check the ribs, take them out. As you can tell, working with glasses is great. Hang on. There we go, oh, you're back, welcome back. As you can see, that sauce is starting to dehydrate out with the heat of the oven, so it's getting tacky. That's what we want. So we're in for a second layer now.
Here we go.
Fuck off. Fuck. I just did want to take a minute and just admire that, really. That's artwork. So there we have it, guys. There's the meat man's own version of pork spare ribs. Spare pork ribs.
Pork spare ribs.
Spare pork ribs. Spare ribs.
No, it's pork spare ribs.
Spare pork ribs. But remember, we don't want to just do pork spare ribs. You've got to be that king dick at the party again. So let's jazz them up a little. Salted, toasted macadamia nuts on top like this. Across the lot. That's going to give it some crunch. Across the same, evenly across the top. And then we've just got some diced up chives, just for a bit of colour. A little bit of oniony flavour. And there we have it. That's two versions of ribs today. The meat man ribs and the king dick at the party ribs. That's good pork. see you next week.